desk. Oh, Lord.
So,
Lord.
Dennis, here we are again. It hasn't been 2 weeks this time. Like, we're on schedule, as the Brits say.
Schedule. Well, yeah, I've been well enough to rehearse with the band. We get ready for big show on Friday. Looks like it's going to be sold out.
Nice.
So that's cool. It'll look good.
I mean, sold out. If
Every table's
are there
ready.
4 tickets or are there 400?
Just two people, but it's everybody.
I
will be
mean,
there.
like, oh, we're totally sold out. Like,
About
we
100.
sold the 1 ticket.
About 100 people.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, if there's 100 people, every seat in the house is taken,
3 digits,
including
baby.
chairs that are leaning up against the wall. Otherwise, I set up tables, and I've got a reservation table. But
Standing room only.
it's been cool because the Kalamazoo Rugby Football Club.
Yes. Over and under, or whatever they're called.
Yeah. And they're really engaged, and they're all psyched about this. So,
But the Over and Under was the bar that got closed.
yeah, Ruggers Up and Under, which Ruggers
Up
is
and
a
Under.
rugby player, and Up and Under is a type of a kick, I think,
Yes.
or a play. Not a kick, but a play. So I asked them for some jerseys, see if any of them will fit the band members. I don't know that I want to wear one. I'm the lead man. If they're wearing uniforms, I need to dress like a coach. I mean,
No kidding, right? Like, you need to, or a referee would know that
Yeah.
they would hit you and
Yeah.
destroy you. But
yeah.
I guess.
So nothing but fun. Nothing but fun. My brother's coming to see me. He'll
Nice.
be here tomorrow. He's gonna be my doorman, handling the money, getting the reserved seats in their seats. He's excited. He's never heard the band. He's heard some recordings we've done.
Right?
So he got a brand new car. I think I told you that story.
No, you haven't.
I think I told you that his car blew up, and he had a double bad. His car blew up, and his furnace blew up all in 1 week, whatever. Anyway,
No.
he got into some money and ended up buying
Cool.
a very
robbed a
highly
bank.
rated Kia, a large SUV Kia
A Sorrento?
that he loves.
What,
I don't know.
do you know the model?
I don't know the model. Even if you said it, I want to know it. I'm getting ads. Are you selling the space? Like, am I supposed to read the ad? No.
I'm
You
not
didn't do
selling you
that.
ads.
I thought I was supposed to read the ad. I like
if
it.
only
how
we
the-
had.
I listen to a lot of sports radio, and those guys go into these commercials just.
Yeah, podcasts do typically, and I'd like to break now for our sponsor. I don't even have a thing that's coming to me, but
I'll be telling a story, and they traded, and Rodgers is almost a second-tier quarterback, and it reminds me. Do you need tires? If you need
Right,
tires, he's tired. Oh, that reminds me. Do you need tires?
yeah, I'm one of the millions of people addicted to this TV show that's on right now called Severance, which we've discussed, and they have their the good shows, like HBO does this, or Max, I'm sorry, but the clever prestige television shows also have this podcast that comes out like the day that each episode comes out, and where it's like the creators of the show where they talk about stuff, and that's a thing I've mentioned before. But the funny thing about the Severance official podcast is that their main sponsor is this like sort of hated corporate like communication tool, and like the whole point of
by
Severance,
whom? By the
hated
pros
by
who-
by people that use it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but like this gigantic company has decided to advertise on this, like it's a specifically like dystopian office work sucks TV show, and they've decided to advertise on this, and they're like, we know office work sucks, but if you use our product, then you're going to get more done, and you won't have to face up to the horrible bosses that you see on this TV show. And it's just, it falls so fucking flat. That I find it hilarious.
And so they're getting they're bringing in money because how are they spending their money?
How is who spending their money?
The people, when you have a sponsor and you have a commercial, they're paying the podcaster.
Right.
And what is the podcast? What's the typical budget for the podcaster? What's it include?
Well, I have no idea. So this is I'm talking about an official like HBO Max podcast. I don't know what there could possibly be. Like, I think without sponsors, they would be getting more value out of having a podcast than not. I don't know how much they charge per episode.
I'm not asking about the market value of it. I'm asking the first money you're going to spend is on technology, right? If you have a sponsor, the sponsor says, I'm going to give you $2,000 a year, you say, great, now I can get all the equipment I need.
No. Oh, okay.
And then what's left, I'm going to rent. I'm going to try to get some commercial space.
Then you pay the. I know this is totally foreign to you, but then you pay the hosts to actually like do research and think about what they're going to say on the podcast.
Oh, well, that's unthinkable.
So, like, I listened to a couple of the podcasts where...
So they're getting paid to do it. That's what the money goes for. That's third item.
Yeah. So, it's not that that you can get ever more expensive equipment and then do it on your free time for free.
No, not evermore, but when you get to the best equipment, you got it.
Yeah.
After that, you spend your money on social media to the extent you need to. And after that, if there's money left over, you start to pay yourself.
Yes. And if we had 1 million listeners...
Which we do, don't we?
We would be making... listeners, I'm guessing we'd be making like $5,000 each a week.
Each week?
Yeah. Each episode.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
how come we're not doing that?
Well, it's actually all going into my bank account. No, yeah, because we're not that interesting and no one knows about
No,
us.
we're not. We're all. Well, you know what we suffer from? We don't know what we're talking about. We don't know.
No, but
what
some of the best podcasts don't either.
It's the Seinfeld of Seinfeld.
Yes.
Seinfeld.
Just, we're stuck in a field with signs
Yes.
telling us which way to go. We're in a sign field.
Bam, bim, bam.
Yes. So, but like my favorite shows don't really teach me anything. It's just it feels like hanging out with friends in a way that.
And so I listen to podcasts every minute I'm in the car, and they're all sports.
Oh, okay.
And
so you understand the chemistry between hosts that can make things interesting, and not having children in the room and things like that.
So my granddaughter talks very well, as you might have noticed.
Yeah, well, she can have her own podcast.
Crying on her head. I'm sorry.
This is a test. Hey, hello.
She's wearing that hat.
You got tape on your head. That looks funny.
That's her hat.
Oh, it's a hat.
Nice.
Okay.
It's tattoo.
There she goes. She's too low for the camera.
You're too low for the content.
Oh, no, I'm not. You know it.
You're too high for the content? There we go. So yeah, it's it's an interesting medium of just. I mean, I guess if I feel like if like 10,000 people listen to us, we might get 10 people that were like, oh yeah, I want to listen to this again because I have learned to like those people and care about those people. So, one out of
We
1,000.
have a 1% return rate.
No, 1 out of 1,000, 0.0%.
That's
I mean, 0.1%. But
Yeah, well,
but like my favorite podcasts are the weird ones where it's just the chemistry between the hosts that
Right.
and the banter and
Which are
the and it's not about
Are we lacking that in some way, or I
No,
thought
we have-
I thought-
we have banter.
The way I thought there was bantering. I
We-
consider. In fact, I
we
say to my
banter as
wife, I
hard
say,
as-
"Honey, it's almost time for the podcast. It's time for me to be bantering.
yes,
Time to me to banter on,
indeed.
banter and rant,
Ranter banter.
branter and ranter."
We wait. Banter
Well,
with an antler.
I will tell you this. This is to talk a popular topic. The
Talk a
weather.
popular topic.
Suddenly it's spring. It was 61 degrees here the other day. All the snow's gone. Sunny
What the-
day. It was 60 degrees 2 days in a row. Then it dropped to a cool 55. So spring has sprung. That's a piece of news. The other piece of news is I finally got the MRI
Yep.
back on my leg. And they said to me, guess what? And I said, I have a torn ligament. And they said, yep. I said, oh, okay, what are you going to do? And they said, well, let me see
That'll
your
be
foot.
$70,000 for
I
us
showed
to
him
tell you that
my
you had
ankle.
a torn ligament. Yeah.
And he said, we're going to make a 7-inch cut from your shoulder, your Achilles tendon, underneath your ankle bone to the front third of your foot. And we're going to open all that up. And we're going to look at 2 large ligaments. God gave us one of them that is useless now. We don't use it anymore. It's too bad you didn't break that one because
The fuck, God?
the other one is the one that you need. But here's the good news. If the one that you broke is frayed and tethered and can't be sewn together again,
Frayed and tethered.
then feathered, then what we will do is we will take the other one out. We'll cut some of it and we'll create a new tube for you, and you will no longer have the one that you don't need. And I thought, so you're going to like take one of my tendons out. That's going to hurt.
Well,
Even though it's useless, it doesn't mean that it's benign or it doesn't feel pain. And that means 5 weeks off, no weight bearing for 5 weeks, crutches and scooter, then a boot, then PT for a month,
a boot. That's when you go
a
to
walking boot.
That's when you go to Canada for treatment. To having a boot.
Boot. A boot. Oh. A boot. About the last 2 weeks, so I've got it timed so that the day
Yeah,
after
because you
we
were
play-
concerned about New Orleans trip.
Which is we're past that. We're in May, and so I got a gig on May 10th. So 3 days later, I'm getting the operation, and then my next gig, my June gig, is at the end of June. So
Okay.
I go through 5 weeks. At worst, I'll be in a boot for my performance in June, which is be fine, or it'll have been taken off.
I mean, most of your performance is not like
I'm not dancing.
interpretive dance.
Interpretive. That's what people might call it, but they would wonder what in the fuck I was. What is his interpretation? I don't quite get that interpretation.
You're more of a singer, harp blower kind of.
I'm a singer. I move my hands and feet a little bit, but I got a music stand in front of me, and I got a stand that's got all my musical instruments on it. You can see my head well enough, but I don't move around a lot. I got fucking wired up in my ears. I'm wired up in my fucking mic. I'm fucking wired up to a harp. I got a fucking button that I push when I want to go from background volume harp to lead harp.
You're wired and
Instead of
weird.
having them, huh?
You're weird and wired.
Weird. Weird and wired and wondering.
So, speaking of late June, my news from today was that I got accepted to give a conference talk at a place that I was accepted in 2020. And I asked my wife, hey, can I go do this? And she said, no, turn it down.
Russia?
Tel Aviv.
Oh.
And like the people, my friends that have gone before 2020, like that particular conference, that they do this really cool thing where after the conference, they take you out. First of all, they give you a tour of Jerusalem, which is right next to Tel Aviv, apparently. And then they will take you out on like a camel ride and put you up for one night in a Bedouin tent. And
What?
and you
did
then
that?
No. I like that was available in 20. That was what I was expecting in 2020 before
And they're
COVID
not
happened.
doing that now because of the war.
And now like I got accepted in 2025, and it's just like, yeah, probably you could go to Israel and be fine because nothing's happened there last week or the week before, like totally. But also it sort of feels like the metaphor that came to my mind is it's like driving really fast without your seatbelt on.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, you're going.
it's like
a
you
war zone.
probably nothing's going to happen, but golly,
But it's a war zone.
yeah,
It's a designated war zone. It's
yeah,
not
it's a word. Yeah,
right. I mean, I think official.
yeah, and
I mean-
and at any fucking moment, fucking Elon could like say something, or Benjamin or Donald could say something stupid and cause like rockets to land.
So on that
So-
on that note, with
Oh,
joy
great.
in my heart, it was widely reported that Elon lost $111 billion last week, and
No. He lost 16 billion yesterday.
yeah,
Like,
so add that up.
yeah.
And some of it, of course, because of what he's done. Not
No.
ever wondering or knowing or understanding the consequences. Elon Musk is the kind of guy that if he's got a stone and he throws it into a calm pond, he's surprised that there's ripples.
You do love this metaphor.
He thought it was just going to plunk down. He thought that big stone he threw was just going to smoothly go into the water and sink to the bottom where he wanted it. You know, the bigger the stone, the bigger the fucking ripple. The biggest stones cause waves, seismic, tsunamis. What does it hurt? It hurts my pocketbook. What do you mean there's going to be pain? Passing on the tariffs. I live in Michigan. Canada's not going to give us electricity. My bill's going up. Not just my bill, but every bill of every voter who voted for Donald. They're going to look at their bill and they're going to say, holy shit, it went up 25%.
They're going to say, what did Biden do to leave us with this?
They're not.
I mean-
No, they're not. Biden's an old suit. He's not even mentioned, except by Trump every now and then. But he's
But like a I get all my news from the late night comedy hosts that lambast Trump and his folks, but like Stephen Colbert was like, and they put up the clips of the CNN and the Fox News people saying their thing about, well, this recession is totally Joe Biden's fault, and Colbert's gag was like, whoa, don't go in that bathroom. Joe Biden was in there like 8 weeks ago. Like, it's like, poof, don't go in there, because just this concept of just throwing any blame backward. But that's super boring. Let's not talk about that.
Well, so the fact is that these guys who don't understand the consequences, particularly in Republican districts that are screaming, the slight majority of jobs that have been cut by the federal government are in Republican districts, and that is really good for the Democrats in terms of political positioning, and also, as John Oliver had in his latest show I saw was clips of town hall meetings where Johnson then was quoted as saying, well, just don't have the town hall meetings anymore. And so, not understanding, of course, well, then they'll just protest, and Republicans actually saying that those town hall meetings were fueled by Democrats being at the meetings. And it's blatantly false, and it's eminently provable. Not that
Yeah,
that
but
matters.
what does that mean anymore?
Yeah,
Like,
well, it means something for the guy that's suddenly paying attention because groceries are costing more and his gas is higher. The stock market is plummeting. And
which
this
is
time,
not which does not affect the people where the egg prices are higher. It's a
it
different
affects
segment.
it this way. The ripple effect is that employers get skittish, jobs and raises are stymied, and as a result, the people that do trickle down, the most menial jobs, those jobs are gone. Those are the first ones they cut because there's so many of them, and management ain't going to trim management, And,
Yeah.
and so the other thing is that because of all that, then prices are up, and that's because things are going in the wrong direction in so many ways. Why? Well, the people that control the money are skittish, and they're pulling back, and that inflation is cause and effect that isn't controlled in any way, shape, or form by politics. It's driven by politics because the political policies are what drives these numbers. But at the end of the day, I guess you could say it's an absolute political statistic. This is the exact result of our politics.
Yeah, I made the mistake of looking at my investment account today and looking at how much it has lost in the last month, which was not a happy thing to see.
So
But like my philosophy, like I shared this with my wife. I said, look how much money we lost. It wasn't 16 billion like Elon Musk lost yesterday. Close though. But I said, look, I don't want my money anywhere other than in the U.S. stock market because I know that the people in charge care most about that, apart from anything else. Like
the most they care about the money.
They mostly care about the stock market and the rich people, and if, I guess they could royally fuck things and go into a super depression era thing where the stock market crashes and whatnot, but then the people in charge would be losing just as I am losing. To have my money in the stock market means that I am aligned with the interests of the leaders.
Right,
So-
but what you didn't do is what they did. And what they did was they knew that when tariffs were threatened and about to take effect, the stocks
Right, they
all
sold
went
all their shit.
down.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of selling. And then when the tariffs changed, the stocks went back up. And so there was a low market. They snatched it up. They held it till the last minute. And then they got back to the peak again and they sold it. And so the billionaires made many billions.
Right.
That happened in the stock market twice. And then
It's
the
so
third
crazy
time,
to me. It's so fucked up that like you can make so much money just by like mirroring whatever Nancy Pelosi does with her stocks. Like the fact that Congress people can invest and make choices slightly, we can invest at all, is so broken because time and time again they sell stuff before news breaks and they buy stuff before news breaks, and it's just like that's what insider trading is, right? Like we're not supposed to be able to do that, but the Congress people do. Like I'm
Well, how
picking on
about,
Nancy, but they all do that.
Speaking of stocks, what do you think happened to Tesla when Donald Trump, at Elon Musk's suggestion, went and looked at his display of Teslas and got in a red one and bought it on camera?
Yeah. He specifically said this. Like I saw the clip, but how many years since Donald has driven a car?
I was surprised he fit in it.
Yeah,
But they-
he
they show
got
him
in
getting
and
in
he
or
was like
getting
holding
out.
the steering wheel, like, oh, I know what I'm doing here, but
Yeah. that's
he
a
hasn't
good
driven a
question.
car in 40 years,
Huh.
30.
That's interesting. I didn't even think of that.
But like
That's banter. That's good banter.
when I saw him get into the driver's side, I was like, wait a minute, he's not going to like pull away in this thing, and sure enough, he didn't. Right. Yeah, but then he was like, yeah, I want to have this, and then like let my staff drive it around the White House grounds or whatever, like a fucking golf cart. Yeah, whatever.
$109,000, I think, was
Well,
the price. He had all the
that's nothing.
prices of all the cars with a Musk, like a Musk document, that you could see it on the camera. I mean, he's shopping with his favorite billionaire, and it's. Did you see, or did you send me? Maybe you sent me these. Michael Myers playing Elon Musk in Saturday Night Live. Have you been watching those? Did you
I've
send
been
me
seeing
some?
those. Like I didn't send you those, but he's
It's
so
way over the. It's way over the top. And
but in the way that
it's-
satire should be. Like he's
Yes.
fucking nailing it.
Yes. Oh Lord. And
In a
the
way
guy-
that like good SNL, especially if you're punching up, should annoy the shit out of the
Yes.
person that you're
Yes.
portraying,
Yes.
and in a way that Baldwin annoyed Trump for a long time, and I mean, however, there are cases where like Dana Carvey and George H.W. Bush like did a scene together or whatever, like, or even Sarah Palin and Tina Fey, like they were chummy enough to, or
She hosted.
or the people telling Sarah Palin what to do told her, look, you need to go and do this thing with Tina Fey. But the times when, let's see, I guess Norm Macdonald and Bob Dole boy, I feel old by remembering that. But like
Norm
they're-
Macdonald is Bob Dole. Boy, I don't
Yes.
know. I've seen that. Sounds great.
Yes,
I
he was
didn't
the
know
Bob Dole.
that.
Yes,
I want to write that down. Note to self.
he
Google that shit.
does I'm Bob Dole, I'm Bob Dole, I'm Bob Dole, I'm Bob Dole, mumbling. So let's see. Thinking of news from my week. This weekend we had a dual martial arts Sunday where my son had a competition and my daughter had a training thing, but they were both like an hour away, but luckily in the same direction.
Oh, good.
So she got a ride there in the morning early, and then like an hour later, we left to take my son to his thing. He did really well. He had 3 competitions, where each competition you can get 3 possible points, and he lost the first one, but he lost it to the national champion of his age group. So it's like, okay, cool, whatever. No, and he's super aware of like, oh no, this kid is amazing. Like, of course I'm gonna lose. And his second round, he got 2 out of 3, and then his third round, he got 3 out of 3.
Wow.
So he got like 3rd place in whatever the competition was or whatever, which like advances him to whatever, blah blah blah. And then we went out to lunch. We piled in the car and went to like 20 minutes away to where my daughter was finishing her training, and we went out to a lovely lunch, where I had an amazing steak.
Oh, you ate steak for lunch. A little heavy for lunch, no?
Well, I mean, no, I mean, in Spain, lunch is the big meal. That was my lunch, and then I skipped dinner. But that was fantastic. It was.
Well, we had.
And then hold on.
sorry.
And then on the way back, I said, hey, because I let my wife drive there, like I requested, and then I said, hey, can I drive back? And on the way back, we drove back, and we drove past our little town to the place where my daughter has been practicing her driving for the past. My almost 16-year-old daughter has been practicing.
Yeah.
And
She drove with your wife in the car?
and my wife was asleep all the way, and like she didn't notice that we drove past our hometown to the next one, and we stopped, and just as I had imagined it, we stopped, and she was like, "Why are we here?" And I said, "Hold on." And I opened the driver's side door, and I got out of the car, and I went to the back seat, and my daughter got out and went to the front seat, and my wife was like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! What the fuck is happening here? Like this is illegal. They can arrest us for this. What is even happening?" And she drove around the little circuit that we had done in this like
Clutch.
abandoned, not abandoned, but on the weekend, this industrial park area.
Yeah.
And
Using the clutch.
using the clutch, baby.
Oh, and she did it fine. She did a good
she
job.
got up to 3rd gear. She used the turn signal.
Was your wife impressed? Shocked?
She was
Or
shocked.
just worried the
At
whole
first, she was shocked and worried, and later the impressed rolled in. But
Afterwards, maybe.
But
Once the
you know,
danger was over.
yeah, and then I was like, we've been working on this for like 4 weeks now. She was like, "You mean when I go away and leave the car here, you guys do this?" And I was like, "Well." So anyway, it must be considered a success for.
Yes, I would say so.
So
If it were a failure, you would know it. Well, it reminds me of a story. Years ago, a friend of mine had this really cool Saab. It was very nice. Can't remember the year.
Like that. I don't know.
It was sad. 1990 something, and had it all checked out. Very safe car, but really cool. And so my son was turning 16 or 18 or whatever on a birthday. I remember what it wasn't 16, 18 probably. And I bought him a car, and he didn't know it, of course. And my wife and I worked out this thing where the three of us went to his birthday dinner at a Chinese place, but I was to meet them there. And so they got there first as planned, and then I pulled into the Saab, and I parked the Saab in front of the place. I left the key in it with the window down. And went inside, and small talk, and I said, and you know, this is a boy who wants a car, he's talked about a car, he's dreaming about a car, blah, 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 and we were having our appetizer. I said, oh man, there was a really cool car out there. Really cool. You ought to see it. And we were done.
Well
eating,
played.
whatever. And got up and left and went out. He said, "Oh, whoa!" And I said, "What's the interior like?" And he's looking in. It's green leather, whatever it was, I said, "Is it a 4-speed?" He said, "Yeah." And I said, "The keys in it? Are the keys in it?" And he looked at me. He said, "Yeah, they are." I said, well, jump inside, start her up. He said, what are you talking about?
Make it feel like a crime.
In this car? And I said, yeah. And he was all confused. And I looked at him and I said, well, you might as well get used to it.
Because it's yours.
And I didn't have to say that. And then it
Nice.
dawned on him, and he jumped in and started it up. And that was a great, it was a great car. It was a car I wish I had when I was his age.
Yeah, I actually don't have solid memories of when, like, my parents also bought me a brand new fucking car. It was a Honda Civic, but it was
Yeah.
but it was a nice red Honda Civic that had some extra bits like.
Did it have a speed flap? Over the hood, the back of the
No,
trunk?
but what it had was, and this was, 1998, 97. What it had was a 6 CD changer in the trunk, so you could load up with, and this was like when I
In
went
the
to college.
trunk.
When I went to college, I spent a whole bunch of money on. This was back when this was the coolest possible technology, on a 50 CD carousel, like
50.
Pioneer stationary, like a Pioneer.
The size of a small trunk.
No. But what I had was with my stereo setup in my college dorm, I had a thing that had a carousel that you could put 50 CDs in, and then you could like go and choose, and that was like the height of musical technology. But I had in my car, I had a 6 CD changer, so like from inside the car, you could choose, I want CD number 4 or whatever, and then you could go on those
But to
tracks.
change them, you'd have to stop and go to the trunk.
Right, exactly. But that was the most badass thing.
Well,
and
6
it was an
times
amazing
what?
car.
Every CD is hour and a half? No. 40 minutes.
The maximum CD is 74 minutes, but most of them weren't. So let's just say an hour.
yeah.
But
yeah.
but that's plenty. Like
6 hours.
Yeah, like you need to stop for gas before
Yeah,
you
right.
run out of that. So, but that was super awesome, and what an amazing gift that was to have a brand new car, and that was a stick shift. Like it, and I'm grateful that it was, because it let me, master that craft in a way that like I had learned, but like before before I took my driving test, I had learned on their previous stick shift car a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But then, obviously, to take the driving test, I would take it on an automatic because why would you allow all those modes of failure? But
I totaled 2 cars driving.
But so like what is hilarious to me is that my daughter does not yet know that automatic cars exist.
Come on.
So
She doesn't know.
no, because in
Oh,
Europe
because in Spain nobody has them.
nobody has one. Like only the super fancy. Like this is like it's like in 1990 in the U.S. where like, oh wow, you got an automatic? That's amazing. So we're literally like 40 years behind.
Huh.
Behind or ahead, depending on.
And you got
how
lots of
how you
hills,
take those.
right?
Yeah, and but
That's
like
tough on a stick shift when you're on a hill. That's
yeah,
the
but
toughest
now
part.
like our modern so like now computers are all up in our cars, and so like my particular car has a thing where if you're on a hill, if you're at a stop sign on
It
on a
locks.
hill, it will lock until you start going forward. Like there's no like, oh, I pulled my foot off the brake and now I'm falling back and I need to go. There's none of that. However, that shit is super fun. Like I miss that
Yeah,
like risk
I'll
of
tell you what, you were either good at it or you wrecked. You had to learn it. You had no
Right.
choice. 'Cause
And so-
if you go backwards, you will hit the car behind you. And if you go forward, you will hit the car in front of you. You really got to find that sweet spot, and it is the sweet spot.
right. And you're right. You learn it or you don't, and you live in that limbo of. But it's but I just can't wait. I can't wait for the moment where I tell her, oh yeah,
Well, when is she going to be in the States?
starting in August, I guess.
Well, don't tell her.
Right,
Wait
exactly.
till she-
I'm going to
wait
be like,
till
oh
she
yeah.
gets into one. She'll be all weirded out because she'll be trying to shift because that's what happens. You start using.
I'm not gonna. She's not gonna be able to drive
Oh,
like
in the
legally,
States?
obviously in the States.
Well,
but
your dad lives outside the law. He didn't give a shit.
no. But at some point, I'm gonna tell her, oh, by the way, the cars in America are like the golf carts that you know from. Like there's just the go and the stop
Yeah.
pedals.
Yeah.
And then she's going to be like, "What? Why did I have to suffer all of this clutch bullshit?"
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm going to tell her that early or later, because
Well,
I can't imagine.
you gotta talk to your dad about going somewhere where she can drive one. Even
Oh,
if it's
that
the
will
high school
happen.
parking lot or
That will
whatever.
happen. That will happen.
And then she'll be like all spoiled. So I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe don't do that. Well, that's wild.
So
That's
anyway,
wild.
that's the news from over here.
Well, my news, I guess, is I've started on the entertainment front. I started rewatching Big Little Lies, and this time, knowing so much about it, I'm able to dwell deeper into the acting and the characterization and the signals and the signs, that when you watch it the first time, you never know when they were planting a seed or,
Right.
what's foreshadowing, so to speak. And of course, Skarsgård, what's his first name?
There's like 3 Skarsgård.
Yeah, there's 3. Well, there's a daddy and 2 boys.
Yeah.
And in fact, in Dune, the big poobah of the big political party who lives in oil and is on a chair that floats through the air and he weighs somewhere around 650 pounds, is the daddy Skarsgård, who the great role was in the Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Robin Williams flick.
Yes. Yes, you got it.
You got it. Anyway, he played the professor, and it
Yes.
was interesting because his character always wore a scarf, and
A scarf.
scarf, and the scarf, of course, was it was like a scarf that you would have on a cap and a gown, so it was professorial, and it communicated exactly what he wanted it to communicate, because he was a big award-winning
Sure.
mathematician, and he was very young and very, very handsome in that. But then to see him in this other role where he is grotesque, but his acting it's pristine. It's pristine, and the character itself is so weird that you're taken away with it. Just,
Okay,
you
I'm just
know,
looking at images. It's a big grotesque dude. Yeah.
Yes, and
Stellan Skarsgård.
And when he was somehow compromised, he recovered by dunking in the oil with the breathing tube. And he stayed underwater until he healed and came up and answered a few questions and gave some proclamations. And when he came
I'm so not interested in Dune at all.
So I've seen, because I fall asleep at that time of night, I've seen it, and I'm pretty intrigued by Timothée Chalamet. I think he does a excellent job, but even more importantly is Zendaya, who you can't take your eyes off of her when she's on the screen, and it's also kind of
yes.
reminiscent of Star Wars, and with sandworms, which is a little bit of Beetlejuice mixed with Kevin Bacon and Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
But the worms, the sandworms in Dune, are the best sandworms ever. And
It's modern, like,
and one of
CGI.
his things that he has to do as part of a prophecy that makes people believe he's the chosen one is he has to ride and harness, as the desert people do, harness the sandworm to drive it, and he does it with these grappling hooks that he has in his hands. He's on the scales of it. He used the grappling hooks and digs into the scales ahead of him on this beast that's as wide as a house and as long as a train and is all scaly, and the wind and the speed at which he's going, and then he gets up on his knees with holding the ropes, and then is able to stand on his feet, and then is able to use them to fucking steer the motherfucking sandworm. It is the best sandworm ever.
Right. What a low bar. Like,
Oh, well, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, how many?
Three so
Enumerate all
far.
the sandworms that are also in the competition. Like,
Well, I
Yes.
named him Kevin Bacon's picture called Worms. No, called Holes. No, Tremors.
yeah, okay.
Tremors.
Yeah, but
and then
those were,
and
but
then
those were
and then
40 years
replicated
ago
in
when
Beetlejuice.
the sandworms were like puppets, and now they're all like CGI computer magic. Sure, okay.
Well, no.
I'm not surprised.
No.
I would be disappointed if
This-
they weren't the most amazing.
This was real.
Oh,
This was real. That's the
Yeah,
part.
the hype-
And the thing is that the planet they're on, it's got like a sandy dust,
yeah.
and the sandy dust ends up to be got this mineral content that is necessary to fuel the entire world. And so the harvesters
Is that
look
the
like-
is that the spice?
yes,
Heard that word.
yes.
Okay.
And it's the reason I like it too is because it's simple enough. It's and sometimes in like Game of Thrones and shit, it gets complicated, and you got to understand the interaction between the characters and stuff. This is done in a simple way. And the other person who's in it is Josh Brolin, who is worth watching in this movie. And
Yes.
and who plays the grand poobah of the opposing party. I need more cowbell.
Yes. He's also in Severance.
He's 80 years old in this. And the actress Pugh, what's her first name? She said of acting with him, he's just the kind of silliest man. In between takes, he would tell me about what he had for lunch and talk about how delicious it was, and maybe asking questions about how they would make it. And he was real silly about it. And then we'd stop that, and there'd be like this real serious scene.
That would be Christopher Walken. Yes. Yeah. He is a god in Hollywood.
So I saw Jersey Boys last night.
I did not see that for the longest time, and I thought, God, that's going to be some because like it came out around the time like Jersey Shore was around.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah,
thought it was
right,
just
right,
going to be
right.
like bros doing bro shit on the beach and whatever, and I had no idea that it was about like 60s musical stuff. Like I saw that on
Wasn't
a
it
plane
great?
once. Yeah, and
You know who the director was?
no.
Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I was surprised by that.
Well, he's got a wide repertoire.
Oh yeah.
So Chalamet, like, I assume you were also curious to see his Dylan
Sure.
movie.
His Dylan movie biopic. Of
where
course. I've seen him perform a couple tunes. He does excellent.
yeah, and like, when he was on SNL, like he was also the musical guest, and I was like, wait a minute, this is an actor, it's not a musical guest. But apparently he did some of those songs, and apparently he's not only super handsome and talented at acting, but he can also sing, little motherfucker.
And he learned guitar and harp and played all the stuff in the movie, and they recorded much of it live.
Yeah.
And
Don't you hate
he's-
people that are that fucking talented? Like,
It makes me wonder about less about their talent and more about their work ethic. Because in order to do this, he immersed himself for months and months. This is what he did. He lived for it, to learn how to play and play these instruments and sing with them. And it's not, as I'm learning, because obviously I play the harmonica, I don't ever have to worry about anybody thinking I can play and sing at the same time.
Right.
But guitar players, it's widely expected. But when our guitar players are learning a new song, and I say to them something like, I got one guy singing backup vocals, but you two guitarists, you need to chime in. And I know, well, they'll say, I'll be able to do that once I learn the guitar part. I can't do both right now. I've got to learn this so it's muscle memory, and then I can sing, because, of course, it's two different things.
yeah,
They're
what a
related.
weird world. Like the Hollywood life, where they once you get to a certain level of fame or whatever, and then they come and they approach you with, hey, here's a script. It's going to take you 9 months, but like, or who knows what I could do with 6 months with a, like, full time with a trainer teaching me guitar, like where I was spending 6 hours a day with my guitar teacher. Like, I bet I could be amazing, right? And like, just for a role where later you have to learn the lines, and the lines are the easiest part of the whole thing.
Sure.
But then, like, we've already chosen you because we know that you can deliver lines in an emotional or affecting way or whatever. So we know that you won't be we won't have spent, 50 grand on you to learn this guitar part, and then you say your lines like ba 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 ba. But it's like, also like all the other movies where it's not guitar, but you have to get super ripped in 6 months, and
Right. Or whatever.
having a personal trainer
Lose the weight.
that is like there with you, or you have to get super fat in so many months to play this part, and like, what a weird. It's so set apart from the rest of us
The rest of the world, right.
that do our
Yeah.
9 to 5 jobs.
Image of Tom Hanks in Castaway.
Right. Or
From when he woke up after he
Yeah.
did the self-dentistry, and it was 2 years later.
Yeah.
And muscle eating raw fish on a rock. And I said to my wife, we were watching it together, rewatching it together, and I've seen it so many times, and different scenes of it. When it's on, I watch whatever's on for a while, and I switch. But and I said, I want you to notice when he's built the fire, and he's parading around the fire, pumping his chest. I am man. I created fire. How heavy he is.
Yeah, right.
Look at his stomach hanging over, and she said later, I never would have noticed that. And I said, well, they didn't want you to.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
and of course brought it back up again when he was standing on the rock, spearing the fish. And the other one, Christian, what's his name? Christian Bale's in The Mechanic. You know this movie?
I've heard of it.
You haven't seen it?
But I have two other examples of what we're talking
Okay, go ahead.
about. Apparently for Raging Bull. And
Bigger and bigger.
De Niro had to eat like 10 donuts every day to gain the weight that he had to gain to be the fat.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen that movie.
You haven't seen Raging Bull?
I apologize, but also I just learned that that Scorsese was like, he was so addicted to cocaine and so suicidal that like he didn't, like, he wanted to die. And
During the directing of the movie?
no, before, and De Niro came up to him and was like, "Yeah, I don't care how you're feeling. We need to make this movie. We're going to make it." And that like pulled Scorsese out of his slump. The other crazy one is McConaughey, Oscar,
Dallas.
Dallas Buyers Club.
Buyers Club, yeah.
Where he
Yes.
was so
Seen it many
emaciated.
times.
Like that like,
He did a movie
okay.
afterwards, and he was skinny. It was Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, you're right. But it's like, okay, I guess if you're gonna almost kill yourself with anorexia to win an Oscar, I guess if you won the Oscar, you're fine. But if you didn't, then it would have been a stupid thing to do, right?
Well,
So
I'm not sure that they're doing it to win an award.
no, they're not. They're doing it to be the most authentic. Like the whole awards thing.
Is weird.
I wonder. I would love to know when the actors are performing or learning their lines or rehearsing or whatever, if they're thinking, "Oh, this could be an Oscar. Holy shit! Like this is an Oscar-winning." I suspect not. I suspect. My hope is that they are trying to do the best at what
So,
they can possibly do,
the
and
only
then once
time-
it's
yes.
recorded and it's on film, and then they're like, oh, actually, that was a pretty good performance.
Yes, I think that they have no idea, because the nature of filmmaking is that until it's number one, a finished product, you're doing scenes out of order. You're doing them based on,
totally out of order.
you know,
Like
and
it's so crazy. Like when I hear the details about how they shoot stuff, it's just like, oh yeah, in that one place where the characters came back to that place 7 different times. Yeah, we shot that all in the same day.
yeah,
We just
and,
like
and
put
also
on a
when
different affect
when
and
other
different
actors
clothes.
when other actors were available and they had to do this and
Yeah.
that. There's one actor I can't remember. I almost want to say it's I think it was Josh Brolin who was on Conan O'Brien, he said he was shooting a movie, and he said until it was done, he never knew what the movie was really about, how it all tied together. He knew
That's very
his
common.
character, he knew the scenes, but and he said we would do stuff, and I would say afterwards, I guess acceptable, but what the fuck? Where does that fit in?
Right.
And how weird that's going to be. The other thing that I thought of the other day when I was watching it, and I'm thinking, so what did that filming look like for that particular scene? And the answer is that about 4 feet from the actor's face,
Sure.
there was the camera,
Yep.
and next to the camera sitting.
Or
in a
sometimes
chair
it's
was-
like really close.
yeah, and then you think, so with that going on, you are in
And
that
25 people standing around
yes,
with a mic and shit.
in that camera in that moment.
Yeah.
It's quite the skill.
Did I mention last week the crazy ass movie that I saw? Mulholland Drive.
Oh yeah, and we were thinking about. I said
I
something
did,
about
yes.
the ear. That was Blue Velvet.
Yeah, I have not seen that yet. But what yeah, as a consumer, I'm fascinated by how movies are made, and I love listening to anecdotes about how, oh yeah, that was a total ad lib, or that was totally scripted, or that particular scene, the director made us do it 400 times, and it took us all night long, or like, it's so. I'm not so deep into it that I lose the enjoyment. Like, I think the people that work in the industry cannot really enjoy a movie anymore because they see, oh, this is the technique that they were using
That's
there, they're doing
interesting
that.
question actually, but it's knowable. I mean, you ask that question of AI, and they will give you an answer.
They.
the AI, they, or her, him, he, whatever you'd like to call it.
They will give me an answer that based on what? Like,
Research that's available.
yeah.
Opinion, conjecture. AI is conjecturing.
So this past week has been the first time I've experienced with the new AI abilities, where I can ask it, look at this entire code base of 100,000 lines of code, and I want to accomplish this locally with this particular component so that it renders this and fetches this data and does this. And it will sit there for a second and then be like, okay,
Oh my God.
oh my God, the AIs are calling.
Can't believe I did that.
And
It's just more work for you.
no, I'm going to leave that in. So the AI will go and be like, okay, well, I need to go and look at this file here and these other files over here, and I've determined now that the general pattern of the way that you fetch this data is this. So I'm going to go and create this concept of, we need this particular fetcher thing that's going to go do this, and then it's going to bring this, and it just writes a whole bunch of code, and it's super fucking creepy because it's like, that's what I would have done in 4 hours of looking around at the
And
other
they did
code
it in
about
what?
how we do this stuff. And
AI was what?
what?
Minutes?
And the AI was, yeah, it was minutes. Like, I had time to go and get coffee while my code was being written for me. But it's getting, like, it still fucks up. Like, I haven't actually used, no, I have used code that AI has written for me, but I haven't, like, submitted as my own work the code. But boy, it's getting really close to just figuring out, because writing computer code is so strict and it has to fit in these boxes. Before, in the way that ChatGPT could just like come up with all these poems and stuff and just like make all this shit up that is like, yes, that's proper English grammar, but with code it's a lot harder because it has to come up with, this is this, but also like it has to compile and it has to like fit into these really rigid structures of what code needs to be. And it's gotten so much better to the point where like previously you would just like say, here's an idea of what the code should be, but now it says, here's an idea of what the code should be, hold on, let me go and check that, and then it goes through a couple iterations and it comes out and it's like, what, I fixed all the mistakes that I previously made. And it's kind of crazy scary.
Yeah. And it's just it's really in its infancy.
Right. And
in the grand scheme of things.
And it's kind of, we don't know in 2025 March what this will be. Like, there are people that say, there will be no need for programmers in the future at all. Most people that have experienced what we have seen so far say, it's like you have an army of junior coders below you that you can like assign tasks to, and they come back with kind of shit code that you have to be like, no, this is bad, try it again.
It just gets more and more confusing, and you won't know, as you said a year ago,
Yeah.
when it was still very rough and there were always 6 fingers on the hand. You said in a year you won't be able to tell, and you pretty much have to have analysis done now to be able to tell.
Well, and it's like at the moment people are like, oh, it's fine because it's still producing shit code and we need an actual human to look over it. But like I still believe like what we have with large language models, LLMs, ChatGPT, GPT, whatever, Claude, all these things. All they have is what is the ability to guess based on what they have consumed, which is way more than we can do because we haven't consumed all of that shit, and like it's cleverer than we are
Yeah.
at that, but at creativity.
Cleverer than we are at best.
At that. So I came across this amazing video that I have to put in the show notes. I sent it to my father already, and I challenged my kids. There's this guy that challenged ChatGPT to create an image of a wine glass that was full to the brim. And it couldn't, because every image of a wine glass it has ever seen was full to the proper serving size of a wine glass.
It couldn't do it.
And it couldn't because it doesn't have the concept of a vessel with liquid that could be to the brim. It doesn't know what that is because all it's doing is
Researching.
regurgitating
Right.
similar images of what it has seen. Also, you cannot ask it for a wine glass that is a quarter full because it's never seen one of those, because all the photos that we ever take of wine glasses with wine in them are to the proper serving size of a wine glass.
Huh.
So because like it cannot reason in that way that we can. It is only
Who
coughing
can?
up.
You
we-
can.
You can, too can. Like, no, but like you can. If I showed you a photo, so the question that was raised in this video is, if you had someone that had never seen a container for liquid, and was shown an image of a wine glass half full, a person that had never seen a container with liquid in it, which is, of course, a thing that we cannot imagine. Could that person imagine could that person imagine that container being full to the brim? And like we can't know that because that's not a thing that we know.
In that
But
case, it serves as a perfectly good example
are we full to the brim?
of not being able to know.
Right? I think we're full.
I think you're full. Day after day, I'm so confused. But I look for the light in the pouring rain. This is a game that I hate to lose. Ain't it a shame? Well, who is to blame? Oh, give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. I wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Oh, give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. Wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. I don't understand at the things I do. I can barely believe what I am to doing. You know that I don't know where to go, and I'm depending on you to carry me through. Oh, give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. I wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Oh, give me the beat, boys, free my soul. I wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Oh, take me, oh, take me, oh, drift away. Oh, give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. I wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Oh, take me, oh, take me, oh, take me, drift away, drift away, drift away.
All right, that's the end of episode 244. You can find these show notes at happyhour.fm/244. There's a couple of links in there, especially the one you really should follow is that one to ChatGPT trying to draw a full glass of wine. You can help support the show at patreon.com/happyhour, where we would very much appreciate your help. See you maybe next week.